about the Special Olympics with the Marketing and Communications Director, Deb Horn. Thanks so much for being on.
My pleasure, and thank you so much for having me.
So we're coming up on the 50th anniversary from 1968 to 2018 of the Special Olympics. And in celebration, tell me what's going to happen.
We are going to do Light Up for Inclusion. So over 170 landmarks and iconic buildings all over the world, including 5 locations here in Connecticut, are going to light up in red this coming Friday evening, July 20th, when it gets dark. They're going to light up in red or do something special to honor our 50th anniversary and celebrate our mission of inclusion for people with disabilities.
So I just want to read what's going to be lighting up in Connecticut.
Certainly.
The Etna Tower in Hartford, Knights of Columbus Supreme Council in New Haven, Holy Land, which is the iconic cross up in Waterbury, Mohegan Sun Waterfalls. WWE is going to illuminate the Special Olympic Connecticut flag. Then, as you said, you've got places in Abu Dhabi, in China, in UK, in Mexico. 172 countries are now involved with Special Olympics. You've been involved 10, 12, 13 years or so, we talked about.
Correct.
How much has this grown since 1968?
It's incredible. I mean, the first Special Olympics Games took place on July 20th in Soldier Field in Chicago with Eunice Kennedy Shriver, our founder. They had about 1,000 athletes from all over participating in just 2 sports. And here we are today with over 5 million participants around the world in countries like Africa and in Asia and Canada, all over the world, Australia. It's incredible, and what's really great, at the beginning it was about giving opportunities to people with intellectual disabilities, and now we have an inclusion revolution going on where everybody is a part of Special Olympics. And through our Unified Sports program, everybody can be involved. So Unified Sports is bringing athletes with intellectual disabilities and their peers without disabilities together to play sports on the same team. And it's really breaking down barriers and changing the way people look at people with intellectual disabilities.
You told me the history of that, which I did not know. So just share with the folks about how Unified Sports came to be.
Certainly. Our president, Bo Doherty, who's been involved with Special Olympics over 30 years, brought the idea to Eunice Kennedy Shriver after seeing how people were treated in institutions and having a history of seeing people being discriminated against because they have intellectual disabilities. And now Connecticut's really been a leader in unified sports. You know, we have 75 local programs where our athletes are training and participating in sports, including unified sports in communities around Connecticut. We also have an amazing partnership with the Connecticut Interscholastic Athletic Conference, which allows us to bring unified sports to students in schools, in elementary schools, in middle schools, and high schools, and now we have unified sports in over 95% of the high schools in Connecticut. So it's grown amazing. It's just incredible to think about how far it's come.
Well, it's changing the mindset altogether.
Exactly. I think, you know, people didn't realize the potential that individuals with intellectual disabilities had. They kind of disregarded them and found them as being very dependent on others and very limited in what they can do. And I think Special Olympics through sports has just given folks with intellectual disabilities opportunities to shine, to show what they're capable of doing. And we found through experience and through 50 years that given the opportunity, these athletes they can excel at their sport, and they can do so much more, where they can live independently and hold down jobs and be leaders in their communities. So,
and the pride that you see at the Summer Games, you know, years ago I was involved with that, and it's so thrilling to see them run and train and be a part of something that you say now includes everybody. Right. How many athletes over 50 years have been involved just from Connecticut?
Well, currently I know we have over 12,000 athletes that we involved within the past year. So countless folks. And then we have so many people, 10,000 volunteers that get involved every year, from our coaches to volunteers that come out with their family members or coworkers for the day, to our summer games or our winter games, or, you know, any of the activities that we have going on over the course of the year, and we pretty much have something going on every week, all the time.
How did you get involved, and why? Was this something close to your heart?
Definitely. I mean, I think it's that feeling. You go and you can't describe it. I think you have to go to a Special Olympics event, and you probably know what I'm talking about, having been there. You go and you see the athletes, and you see the pride, and you see it's real competition. I mean, it's serious stuff. It's not, you know, with serious rules and real referees and everything, and they take it very seriously, and it's a really big part of their lives, not only refining their skills and their sports training, but also the friends that they make and the teams that come together and the friendships that are made. And people are involved in Special Olympics for decades. It becomes part of their life. It becomes interwoven in everything they do in their daily lives. And to be a part of that, for me, has been incredible. I think I get so much back, so much more back than I give, because you're just inspired by people who overcome mistreatment or misunderstanding, and people who are kind of cast aside and then given the opportunity to shine, and then their self-esteem just blossoms, and they realize that they can do things and they can excel on the track, and then they can go out and get a job and live on their own and different things. So having been with the organization for over a decade now, I've really seen athletes grow and realize and what they can do, and have become so successful, and some have become coaches and inspire other people, not just the athletes around them, but their own coaches and their own family members who may not have realized.
I hear so much passion in your voice, Deb.
I can keep talking forever.
No, you're where you should be. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So have you talked about 50 years now?
Yes.
The next decade, where can you take this from here? I mean, you're going to light up things, iconic structures all over the world. Right. Where do you go in the next decade? Do you know?
Well, it's this inclusion revolution that we're talking about, just engaging more people. I mean, we have over 5 million athletes, but there's 200 million people with intellectual disabilities around the world, so there's so many more people to reach. There's all those potentially unified partners who can get involved, who don't have disabilities, that can become involved. And when we see unified partners becoming involved, we see them go on and hire people with intellectual disabilities when they're, you know, professionals and working in a business. They have, you know, understanding and appreciation of the skills and the potential of people with intellectual disabilities. So kind of growing in that area. Another area we've really grown is our health area. We're one of the largest health providers for people with intellectual disabilities. So we're providing free screenings, medical screenings at our games to athletes that don't have access to medical care. So for example, this past summer games, we even had Smilo coming down, and volunteers were doing skin cancer checks and mammograms for our athletes. We provide free prescription eyeglasses to our athletes at events who don't have access to them otherwise, but need them to see and to read. We provide new sneakers and toothbrushes and things that they need to be healthy and to perform and be strong, capable athletes. So we're really growing in that area, in that arena too.
What else statewide can you use? Help, more volunteers? What's on a wish list?
All of it, yeah. I think getting more volunteers in our local programs. So our local programs, we have 75 of them in communities throughout Connecticut. And those are the programs where they're having the coaching and the training, because our athletes are training for 8 weeks leading up to our summer games or our Unified Sports Fall Festival, which will be coming up in September. So they're training in their own community, and then they're coming to our games to compete against their peers all over the state. So we need more folks to become coaches, and more folks to volunteer, and more folks to just support the organization with resources or their own ability. I mean, if they're a good writer, or if they're, whatever their talents are, there's a way to get involved. I think that's the exciting thing about the organization.
And how do you do that? Because it's all inclusive, of course. You just call up the office and say, hey, I want to help.
Absolutely. You can totally do that. Just call us or go to our website, soct.org, and there's how to get involved, and there's a whole list of ways to get involved. Or call us or email us or find us on social media, Special Olympics Connecticut. We're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. There's so many ways to get involved, and you know, we have some volunteers that have been involved for decades now, and
it's hard to leave once you get involved.
It is, which is wonderful, and they're bringing in their daughters and sons to get involved, which is really wonderful. And people don't need any experience. We do coaches training for folks who would like to be a coach, but maybe not have that accreditation. We'd like to think so. We work at it, and we are always trying to improve, and that's great because we get a lot of feedback from from the folks involved in different ideas, and you know, the high school students that are involved in our unified sports programs. I mean, those are our leaders of tomorrow, and they're really kind of carrying on the mission, and that's so exciting to see. So we need more of that, more medical practitioners who will volunteer their time to work with our athletes and kind of grow in understanding about the unique situations and challenges that our athletes face, so they can deal with them in their own practices. So it's really helping them as well as helping our athletes.
You wonder if 50 years ago Eunice Shriver thought that it could be what it is today. I mean, it's absolutely amazing.
It's
what she
pretty
brought to the
remarkable.
world.
And when you think about all the countries that are involved, and we're going to have athletes compete at the next World Games in Abu Dhabi, we just found out, in 2019. It's a global presence, it's a global initiative. This inclusion revolution, everybody's getting involved. It's for everybody, it's relevant to everybody, and it's helping people with intellectual disabilities have a full life and accomplish so much.
And on July 20th, I can't wait to see the world light up for the Special
It's
Olympics.
going to be amazing. Me too.
Deb, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. My pleasure. And it's been a pleasure talking with you.
You bet.
Spend all night kissing, and if Walter's right here, then who else is missing? Got a little sidetracked, they found us a wishing. Found the keys to the door, but it's also a metaphor. Need to keep locked in the grocery store, but mine just to save time. I'll skip right ahead to the last ride.